everybody, and welcome to Tony the Mole Adams YouTube channel. Thanks for your ongoing support. The finals, what a weekend! I just that game on Sunday was like, to me, was like a religious experience. If you're a rugby league fan, I was like, if you let's say if you're a rugby league fan, but you kind of lost a bit of interest recently, it was like if you're a Catholic witnessing a miracle. You suddenly want to go to church every Sunday, or multiple times. You're going to mass on a Tuesday night after watching that game. Welcome to our owner of this august channel, Tony Adams. Tony, how are you?
Yeah, doing well, Steve. And I'll let you in on a secret. I'm that old that I can remember games in the 70s. That's how far back I go. And I've never, ever seen a game with so many twists, turns, thrills. I mean, twice the Canberra players and crowd were, saluting themselves, jumping up and down, saying they'd won the game. But the officials had other ideas, very controversial, which is all part of the theatre of sport. And I did have a few dollars on the Broncos, so I'm quite happy with the result. But I do think the better team got beat.
Yeah, I don't. We're not going to go down this rabbit hole, okay? I'll just say this and put it out there. But I really think, though, that people who want to get rid of the video referee, A, you're not going to be able to, but B, the video referee added to the drama on Sunday. It was part of the drama. It was intertwined with the theatre. And I thought it was like, I did a column. It's like it's rugby league's digital age classic, where the video referee, it would have been over after 80 minutes without the video referee. It was a much better game because of them. That's not to say they got everything right, but we're never going to go back. And I don't think I think we should just toss that one in the bin. The genie's out of the bottle, throw the bottle away. Now, Tony, we've got a new refereeing in the brain. New coaching appointment in the NRL, as we record this, in the last sort of 48 hours. Justin Holbrook, and you've got a few interesting kind of takes on that in your column, which I invite everybody to read. The link is in the show description.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Well, Justin Holbrook got the Knights job. He had the Titans a couple of years ago, and he coached over there with you, didn't he, Steve, for a while? St. Helens, was it?
Super successful at St. Helens. Super successful at St. Helens, yeah.
And a good fella. And it was interesting because before he got appointed 48 hours or so ago, the Knights signed Sandon Smith. And they've had terrible halfback problems, the Knights, but they came out and said they're moving him the hooker. And I thought, well, who's making this decision? They've got no coach yet they've decided they've signed a halfback and they're moving him the hooker. Well, I did a bit of digging and I found out it's not necessarily the case. Now, Justin Holbrook, of course, was the Roosters' assistant coach, so he worked with Sandon Smith. And I believe we might see Sandon Smith playing halfback alongside Dylan Brown at the Knights next year. So there's a little bit of a scoop for all those who think what they were told, that he was going to be a hooker. Much better halfback than a hooker, Sandon Smith. Good little player. And gives the Knights a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, because it's been a very long season for the Wooden Spooners.
Awesome, Tony. Now, I did do the research about Cody Ramsey, and I actually had an email yesterday from Brad Turner, the former Canberra Times rugby league reporter who covered the Raiders in their golden era. And
I remember him well. Good fella.
Good fella. And he wanted to tell me about Cody Ramsey and Cody Ramsey, about his story and how he deserves a start over here. I did the research, right? The reason that he needs help to get a work visa is not because he hasn't played NRL. He's 1 year too old under the new visa regulations to get a work visa. So that's why he needs a bit of help. But Tony, your item suggested he might now be staying in Australia. Quickly, for people who don't know anything about him, quickly tell us about his medical background, but then tell us what your item says.
Yeah, well, look, 3 years ago, he almost died. He had this condition called ulcerative colitis, which is a very serious internal problem. He had to get a large amount of his colon cut out. He was told he'd never play again, but he wouldn't have it. And he played New South Wales Cup this year. The Dragons, to their credit, kept him on his NRL contract, paid him good money. But then at the end of the season said, we basically got no room for you, maybe a train and trial. But he played on the weekend in New South Wales Cup, which is like reserve grade, scored the winning try in the last couple of minutes. And I've got it on video. You should get our people to Google it. Cody Ramsey, Dragons v Warriors, New South Wales Cup. It's one of the most scintillating individual tries you'll ever see. And all of a sudden, there's a couple of clubs, and I don't mind naming them, the Eels and the Roosters, who's showing a little bit of interest in Cody Ramsey. So he might not need that work visa. Time will tell.
Okay, now this is a really interesting item because I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to rules and precedent and all that sort of stuff. And Matthew, I don't know, he's a Matthew Feagai. He played for the Dragons in the same game, even though he hadn't played enough regular season matches in that competition to qualify. He was not qualified to play in the finals according to the New South Wales Rugby League rules, but he still played. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, well, this is a bit of a scoop because I've been getting messages from some angry Warriors fans saying, how could he play when he's only played 3 games in New South Wales Cup? He's supposed to have played 8 to qualify. I went to the Dragons New South Wales Cup page on the internet. He's not even there. Yet he played and he scored the first 2 tries. And of course, the Dragons won. So I got on the New South Wales Rugby League and I got this response. See if you can understand it, Steve. According to the NSW Rugby League Operations Manual, clubs may make application for exemption requests relating to player eligibility in the finals. The purpose of this is to consider a player's eligibility in the context of games which the player may have been forced to miss for various reasons, including injury and other medical reasons. These are reviewed on a case-by-case basis with many variables considered along with supporting documentation. And with all that, they allowed him to play. And to me, it's complete gibberish.
Yeah, it is. Well, they're saying that he would have played if he wasn't injured, or yeah, I don't know.
It sort of opens a whole can of worms because I'm sure there's plenty of other players who would have played if they weren't injured. So rules are rules, but it seems rules can be bent or broken.
And final item is about Thomas Fletcher, who plays for Souths. And even though it's quite late in the year, isn't it? It's September. He still doesn't know what he's doing next year.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. He played 4 games for South during the season and looked okay. Now, during the week, South announced 10 players who they're moving on. They obviously had a disappointing season. Wayne Bennett's not the sort of bloke to muck around. But Fletcher wasn't one of those, but he's also not one of the players who've signed in the top 30 squad. In fact, he's the only bloke left in the top 30 squad unsigned. A little bit of interest from other clubs. So again, watch this space. I know South don't want to lose him. He's a 21-year-old back rower. Showed a bit of promise in those 4 games. So again, watch this space.
Awesome, Tony. Well, that was short and sweet. And don't forget, keep an eye on our channel because we're doing these. We've already done a video, and please go and have a look at it. You might disagree with it. You probably will disagree with it. But the 5 fastest players of all time, and we've also got one ready to come about the 5 toughest players of all time. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that over the coming weeks and months. And I'll you know what, Tony, I'll get your tips for this weekend. What are your tips?
I think Penrith will send Canterbury out in straight sets. And the other game, it's a real tough game, Steve, because Canberra, I think they're physically pretty drained, but I think mentally that game would have taken such a toll on them. Everyone was telling them all year, you're going to fade in the finals, you can't keep this up. And they came so close twice, as we were saying. So, I'll go the Raiders at home. I think Cronulla were pretty ordinary last week. They were very lucky in that they beat an even more ordinary Roosters side. That was a very uninspiring final. I thought the other 3 games over here were great, but that was pretty ordinary. Cronulla are going to have to lift, and I think Canberra might just get them at home.
Thank you, Tony. They're my tips as well. We'll see you next week.
Okay.